Welcome, it's Jeremy Allen Gould. I'm coming to you today to confirm between God and of man that in fact, the rumors that you have all heard are true. I started this podcast because I freaking love music. I was privileged enough to book amazing artists and bands in the past, and I was lucky enough to stay in touch with many of them to this day. This is a place to hear their stories. Thank you so much for riding along on this journey, and I hope you enjoy what you hear. With that said, the rumors are definitely true.
Thank you for tuning into this latest episode of the Rumors Are True podcast. My name is Jeremy, and today I welcome Jonathan Caro. You know Jonathan from the bands Bloodshed, Stairwell, and his newest project, Binder of Light, as well as many other bands that we discuss in this latest episode. Jonathan and I talk about his humble beginnings in the music and all the records he's played on over the years. Very influential artist in my life, and I know many of yours as well. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this latest episode with Jonathan Caro.
John, thanks so much for coming on my podcast, man. I'm so stoked right now.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's very nice to have someone to ask you to have them tell my story. It's not that doesn't happen all the time, so I appreciate it. It's
absolutely
cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. So tell me, man, what is up in your life right now? What's currently going on in your life?
Currently, I'm in a band called Binder of Light, and that is a offshoot of Bloodshed. And I started that because, with some of the members, they didn't feel like they wanted to move on with it or let it continue on as the entity of Bloodshed. So I said, okay, well, I'll just start something that sounds like it, and continue on with it because I miss playing that type of music. And after going to Furnace Fest, it kind of showed me that that sound is still prevalent. And when I returned home, there was a show in Costa Mesa where I happened to see Slow Crushed again. They were at.
Oh yeah, right.
And they had a good turnout. And there was another band that kind of reminded me of kind of what Bloodshed was doing back then, and it really pushed me to get this going. And Jeff Jackery was with me from Unashamed. We were like, wow, this feels like we're like in 1995,
yep.
And we're like, the sound is still prevalent, and I miss playing it. And, it's just like, let's go do something with this,
Yeah.
With that, so let's go do something. And so that's when I decided to do that. It more stirred up from Chad approaching me about having Bloodshed return this year to Furnace Fest.
Wow.
But that wasn't going to happen, without the permission of the other members, the original members of Bloodshed. So I had to find a different way to make it happen, to possibly play Furnace Fest. But so I said, let's start a band that sounds like Bloodshed.
That's cool. That's cool, dude.
But I decided just to make an actual full project of it, just to do it because I miss playing that sound. So.
Sweet, man. That's really cool. What are you doing job-wise and work-wise?
So currently I'm part-time working at a film school in the New York Film Academy. I'm a technical assistant there, and so you help out students kind of work their equipment if they have an issue. And also I help with their events, doing sound for anything if they do a live stream or they have like a glee club, so I kind of help set up their performances for them at their film school. And then I do freelance location sound mixing where I record dialogue on set.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. I really found something I really enjoy, so it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of like my niche.
That's really cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
You get to do something artistic still and in some way, shape, or form. If you're not playing music, that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I needed, because for the longest time I did security just to pay the bills, and I didn't have much of education because I just, I was so dedicated to music in my 20s. And, when things got real, I was married at the time, where I was just, I got to find something to pay the bills, and that's where I ended up in that world. And so, after doing that for so long, I said, I can't do this anymore. I got to do something that's been at least dealing with creativity. Yeah. And so that's why I'm working in the film industry now, just to continue on that without, feeling it's a waste of time. And I know a lot of people feel, I hate to say it, because a lot of people I know, people working other jobs just to make ends meet. Sure. But I just figured, because since I live close to LA and then the whole of the film industry, I decided, hey, I'm just gonna take a chance on it because of where I'm at, take advantage of that. So that's where I'm at now. That's cool. Well, that's cool. Yeah. That's awesome that you're getting to do something you enjoy. It sounds like you enjoy it, at least. And it's something, like I said, you can still be creative, and it's cool. It's crazy how life hands you certain things that you don't expect, and then you can benefit from. Yeah, so. I didn't know I would spend so much a long time in that world, particularly. Yeah, something where it's can potentially be crazy and dangerous. So I'm glad I'm out of that, and so now I'm just doing the audio thing, and involved with the school, and also because of it hasn't really directly. It hasn't affected me that much because thankfully. Because as you know, there's strikes and I noticed that. Yeah, so that's going on, and I've been a part of a few major productions, but that comes on few in between for me. Honestly, it's mostly been the independent film productions that's been keeping me busy, and but because there's the lack of the other bigger productions, I had to kind of resort to finding other jobs. So now I'm an usher as well. Nice. And it's pretty interesting. I like it because it's still part of the entertainment industry. It's still interesting, and I'm able to at least while I'm working, I can still, the subject matter, I can still listen to music, while working. Yeah. And feed off the vibe of all these people enjoying the music. So that's cool. Not too bad of a side gig, because there's a big theater here in LA called the Greek. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah. Yeah. And a big show. There's a lot of people there. This band, a group, or is it singer? I think it's Dominique Fink or something. I don't know if you heard them. No. It's pretty much indie pop. Okay. But what's cool, little perks is the next show at the Greek, that band Cigarettes After Sex. Oh yeah. Yeah, so I'm interested to working that gig. I think that dude, one of the guys in that band was on Velvet Blue for a time, is what I heard. Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know who, but that's what I heard. Or Jason Martin worked on or something like that. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he's definitely I think the singer or some members are definitely tied in. Yeah. That's cool. We're in for sure. Yeah, my cousin knows him pretty well, the singer. Oh, nice. Very good. That's rad, dude. That's super cool. Dope, man. That's cool, man. I love that you're staying busy and enjoying what you're doing, and that's half the battle in this life, not hating your job and not hating what you're doing, so. Yeah, and it's definitely, I feel like I'm in a better place now. Absolutely. That's cool. Yeah. That's good to know. Awesome. Sweet, man. Well, I just wanted to briefly talk about how, you and I met last year at Furnace Fest through our mutual lovely friend, Jake Brown. Oh,
and
yes.
so that's kind of what spurred this on, which I'm really, really grateful for. Jake, love him. I just saw him the other night at the Under Oath show. It was really cool to reconnect. But, yeah, getting to meet you for me was, kind of a dream come true. I'm 45, and, I remember being 18, and my buddies and I freaking out about Bloodshed. So, I probably didn't look like I was, like a little kid, but I definitely inside was freaking out. And so it was awesome to meet you. No, it's just, I don't know, you guys, like I mentioned earlier, you guys influenced so many people, and, you guys had a short time there, but it was such a big impact, in my opinion, at least. You kind of were trendsetters in that whole screamo world, in my opinion. So, what you guys did, influenced so many bands and people, and I don't know, it's just awesome. I love it.
I didn't know that, and thanks for letting me know. I've been hearing that, like, a lot of bigger names. Like, I was surprised. I listened to As the Story Grows. That.
Oh yeah, it's great. He's great. Brian's great. Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, really good guy. I remember hearing Brett from Juliana Theory mention that he was a big fan of Bloodshed. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's like, okay, cool. A lot of these bands that I actually thought were, and I still think are, like, big time, mentioning us. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's an honor for sure. I appreciate it.
Well, you know what's cool? You guys were young and relatable. That's, I think, the thing for me. Because I was, you know what I mean? And of course the music was fantastic and it was great, but it was like, hey, I could totally do this. You know what I mean? I think it's like, and that was appealing for someone like myself and a lot of us. It's like, you've got your bands, like Focused or Overcome, and those are, the big boys and stuff. And it's like you look at it and you're like, man, I could do this at such a young age. It's so cool that you guys are writing incredible music at that age. And I think that's just, what fascinated me about it, at least. And again, it was different sounding. So,
yeah, sure.
But yeah, that's cool. Love meeting you. Stoked that we get to talk now. So
yeah, I'm glad to know that. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks. It was nice to finally meet you, because I think I've been talking to you online a little bit before.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Finally get to meet this guy,
Yeah.
So it was a pleasure meeting you as well, man.
Absolutely, really nice. Man. Well, you rule, and I appreciate you doing this, like I said. Okay, let's talk about growing up for you, man. Obviously we just mentioned that, you're playing in a band as a teenager, so I want to know what growing up was like for you musically and how it kind of came into your life, and maybe some influences, some bands, some records that kind of shaped who you were growing up.
Yeah, so it all started thanks to my dad. He was heavily into music. He loved singing all the time. He had, an old amplifier with a record player. It had a cool mic input, and he would, sing to it as if it was a karaoke machine, but, it wasn't officially. But that was the beginning where, there was an actual mic that plugged in, and he would sing over records, and I would copy him and do the same. And then eventually he got to actually started getting actual karaoke machines, or, and then starting to get the tapes that didn't have the vocals in it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the tapes was the Monkees.
Oh, I love the Monkees.
And so I grew up watching the Monkees, on television. So I was like, hey, I know this band. I know their music from from television. So I would sing to these karaoke tapes containing Monkees songs, like Cheer Up Sleepy Jean.
Great song.
So that influenced me, and then my dad was, on the side, was playing acoustic guitar, and he listened to the Beatles a lot. I heard tons of Beatles in my time. I would always hear Frank Sinatra all the time. So my dad had a great taste in music. And so that started that, and there was also a really old 80s, well, not at the time, but an old keyboard, organ that, had awesome different sounds to it. It was a multi-layered organ, and I remember always messing with that.
That's cool.
That kind of got me introduced to the keys. And I eventually got, piano lessons, but I never really finished it, and never really considered that. So that started that, and then growing up in the MTV world, when MTV was still playing music, I had a lot of time watching MTV for sure.
Yeah.
And so I got into music that way too, seeing all these different music videos. And from there, the next step really that pushed me was my brother. He was actually in a punk band.
Oh, cool. What was that called?
Rebellious Behavior.
Nice.
Yeah. So with that, me knowing, kind of what was going on in the music world, because I was kind of up to date with MTV, because at the time they were kind of,
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, kind of like introducing new music and what's up to date anyway. I remember walking in the garage and hearing this intense music and this guy screaming in the microphone, and I was amazed by it. It was something I never heard, and I just loved the intensity of it, and I knew it was strange because I hear this man screaming, on top of his lungs, but I thought it was amazing. I loved the energy that was happening at that moment, and this is like at 6 years old, so somewhere around there. Yeah, and I was quite amused with that. So that's my first introduction to punk.
What band? Do you know what band that was?
Oh yeah, it was. I believe that was the band that Rebellious Behavior that my brother was.
Oh, so I see what you're saying. So that's what you heard. I got you. Yeah. I didn't know if you were talking about another record. I got you.
Oh no, it's okay. No, he was playing bass, and it was in. Then I was in our garage when they were practicing.
That's cool.
And I first saw my first. What do you call it? Spiked hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was very
Mohawk.
Yeah, the biggest mohawk I've ever seen in my life.
That's cool.
Sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So after that, I know you're at 6, obviously, but when do you start to kind of gravitate to? Obviously, you said that music kind of stuck with you or jarred you, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
When did you start to get into like the hardcore, the emo, that whole kind of world?
I'd say around 10, I already started listening to my brother's records, and one of the records I know quite clearly is a 7 Seconds record.
Nice.
Yeah, and he also had a Judge record.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Judge is great.
So yeah, and I had my cousin who started showing me some metal stuff as well, and so that's where it kind of developed. But I wasn't into like the underground that much. I mean, I didn't know what Judge was in 7 Seconds. Mm-hmm. Really, I mean, really who they really were, other than just listening to the record. So I was still kind of more into the mainstream. Like as a bass player, I was into funk, so I was into like Infectious Grooves, the guys that Red Hot Chili Peppers. I was really into like a lot of funky stuff.
Yeah, Living Color, Fishbone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was the kind of music I was into, and then also I was into R&B, like Belle Biv DeVoe.
Oh yeah, they rule.
That. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a great moment in time. And it wasn't until I started meeting my cousin, he started introducing me to underground hardcore, because he barely started getting the music as well, and it's all from his brother too as well, and his brother's name is H. And this is the main connection, because H, he became Christian, and around the same time my brother too, coincidentally, and H, wanted to do music, as a ministry tool. Obviously, that's what a lot of us do when we started, getting into Christianity. He started playing in a band called Outnumbered.
Oh yeah, I remember that, man.
Yeah, and that's where the main connection begins, where we started going to shows, to see Outnumbered play locally and around Orange County, Huntington Beach, more so at these backyard parties, and that's where I met like Eric and all them, and then Ryan Dennehy. It was so that's the main connection from there, because they end up knowing they're somehow connected to like Dan McNanical and all that from Unashamed. Mm-hmm. That's where the Unashamed connection comes in.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then as you know, from there, that connection, it led to Focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's the main one. Is that our cousin H was starting getting active, and through that band Outnumbered was the branch to the whole start of actually Tooth and Nail from my view.
Absolutely. I wonder why Outnumbered never got signed to Tooth and Nail. I've always wondered that. I know they were on like Helpless and all that, but
yeah, I guess because they just disbanded. And
yeah.
I never knew the reason.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Well, no, that's one of those bands that, for me has always been a mystery, other than the, one or two songs that I've heard. It's like, would have loved to be that's cool that you got to be a part of that and see that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk real quick. You kind of mentioned you got into these bands. What are some of the bands that you started pre-Bloodshed that maybe you can remember and talk about just briefly?
It was actually, there's a couple, and actually, honestly, right now, it left my head that we only did a couple of songs, and I forgot the name, so it left my head right now. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No worries. No, I mean, hey, we all get old.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, so you briefly played in bands, obviously. Is that kind of what led you to the guys in Bloodshed? Let's talk about that. How did that kind of begin, and how did the name come about, and how did, let's just talk about the beginning of Bloodshed.
Yeah, so the beginning of Bloodshed, my cousin and I started jamming together. And, we always, me as a bass player, him as a drummer, we would constantly, jam for hours and hours, nonstop. So that created a good, strong cohesion between us. So, that led to just us wanting to start a band, and so through H, he said, hey, we know some guys, we know so H knew the guys from Unashamed, and Unashamed had a neighbor right next to them where they practice. Said, hey, there's a guy that wants to join a band too, and this guy's around your guys' age. And so we connected, and that guy, his name is Jonathan Caro. And he lived right next to the guitarist of Unashamed. So there's that link, and this was in Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. You would have on a Saturday one loud band in this cul-de-sac playing, and then just right after, Bloodshed would play, so Unashamed would play first, vice versa, and we'd play after. So it was a pretty loud cul-de-sac every Saturday or, every weekend.
That's cool.
So we, through Unashamed, we met this guy, John Cottrell, and we started playing, we started jamming with him, and that's when Bloodshed started. And I forget how the name came about, actually, honestly. But, we just came up with Bloodshed, and we thought that was pretty tough enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it kind of fit the whole, spirit-filled hardcore, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. It just definitely, was a good jarring. It was, cool sounding, so.
Yeah. I thought it was fitting for what we were doing.
Initially, when the band started, what was the music like? Was it just strictly hardcore, or did you start to kind of experiment with the emo? How did you guys kind of find your sound?
Yeah, it was just strictly only hardcore, and we were heavily influenced by bands like Downcast.
Yeah.
What was there? Another band called Mean Season from over here.
Oh yeah.
What else? Earth Crisis.
I love Earth.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So John Cottrell's always the leading guy. He was the main songwriter at the time too.
Okay.
He was always on the leading guy to lead what our sound was, and and as we grow up, we progress. We listen to different things, and so John's taste started to change to where it was a little more either experimental or just different sounding from what we were doing at the time. And so he started getting the bands like Still Life.
Yeah.
And other things that still had an edge to it, but then introduced like more melodic things into it as well.
Sure.
And then for us, try to just getting over the constant
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's kind of change this up, and that's what we felt was a great time to do it. And some of the bands that really have heavily influenced us to move forward, like as a perfect example is like Helmet.
Yeah, love Helmet.
That, they were sort of melodic and vocals and stuff that still had this edge to it. I love the mixture of what they were doing.
Totally.
And also they experimented with a lot of different sounds, and so that's a big influence on us. And at the same time, on the opposite end is as far as like happy melodic, we were starting to get the bands like Neurosis.
Oh yeah.
Which a lot, mellow, but still a little, and just strange and dark.
Atmospheric and all over the
just
more
heavy.
so,
Yeah.
Exactly. The more, the atmospheric stuff that we like especially. And so, we're just definitely branching out from just that normal hardcore that we were doing for a long time.
That's awesome.
And that's what led to, like, the EPs that come out after.
Yeah, and I want to definitely go over those. So you start the band. Do you get to play shows pretty quickly? I know you said you kind of have the link between Unashamed and Focused and Outnumbered. Maybe talk me through some of the beginning shows and then what led to your first demo that you put out.
Yeah, so the typical bands that we were always playing together were Focused, Unashamed, at the time Outnumbered, and interestingly enough, even though they had a different sound, but at the time we were open to everyone playing together, so we weren't particularly, and in the scene as well.
Sure.
There's other sounds that were already existing, out there, so it wasn't strange to us, but looking back, it was. So Plank Eye.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
Really common in the lineup as well, and so it was always something like that. Like, it was always some kind of a bunch of hardcore bands, and then a few bands that sound different, but that wasn't onto us.
That's cool.
One of them was actually Saved, a band called.
Oh yeah, which was like Supertones or one of them. Yeah.
So the precursor to Supertones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They fit in because they would have music that was like hard hitting, like 311 breakdowns kind of thing, and then they would end up doing something very ska sounding. So it was interesting, they would play because they would play some hard stuff and they would play some really happy. It was an interesting mix.
Yeah.
And so, but little I didn't know that would end up leading to
that's nuts.
To
That's cool, dude. Let's talk about your demo. Kind of talk me, like, how did that go for you guys? And obviously, did that lead to Tooth and Nail coming into the picture?
Yeah, it did, for sure. We recorded on a 8-track Tascam recorder. And
how many songs was it?
It's a 5-song demo.
Okay. That's funny because it's longer than your EPs.
That is
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. Yeah, so it was just the guy who recorded, his name's Glenn. I forgot his name too. Forgetting everything. But that was a guy that was actually my cousin's sister's boyfriend who did it.
Oh, nice.
He was actually in bands too, and his story's pretty interesting because he was a big fan of like They Might Be Giants.
Oh,
so
wow.
he had a cool sound. But so he recorded us, and we started selling those at shows, it's been fun. It's interesting. I'd be in some random house, hanging out with someone, and I would never associate with the scene, and I would find a Bloodshed demo tape.
That's crazy.
In their drawer. I'm like, what the? This is strange. Yeah. So it's surprisingly still lingering around, and there is a link. Someone put it up on.
I would love to hear that. I'm interested.
Yeah. I should send you that. I just barely
do. Yeah.
ran into it again. So and that link, I think it's in SoundCloud or something.
Okay.
Rainy Days original demos on there as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'd love to hear all that.
I think that should be available to the public. So.
I gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Tooth and Nail situation. Like, obviously, you're playing shows with the bands, got a demo out. Tooth and Nail comes sniffing around. How does that happen? You guys are young. Do you have to have mom and dad sign? Like, how does that thing kind of come down?
It's basically through the connection of those guys. Unashamed and Focus is where I forgot who recommended to Brandon, but as you know, those guys were getting signed.
Sure.
And then and Brandon looking for more acts, for us being there at the right time, and I'm sure that Brandon still saw us while we were playing with them, and said it'd be great. And he saw I guess because we were a young band, that's pretty much a good
up and coming
attraction. Yeah, exactly. So just through them and playing the shows with them, and Brandon being there, and then a recommendation from, I forget who it was, from Unashamed Focus, that pretty much sealed the deal for us to do an EP. And I remember, the first initial talks were hanging around the first office of Tooth and Nail in Irvine.
Cool.
That was interesting. I wish I remember where exactly that was, but obviously a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's where it started. And I remember for the contracts, not much it was. We just signed them.
You just signed them. That's amazing. That's incredible.
Not much, and many of our family involved.
You're obviously it sounds like you're obviously stoked and excited. Was that just like? Yeah. I mean, were you just like hell yeah, or were you just like? Yeah, I mean, you probably hit the ground running. Yeah. Yeah.
Just before I started a band, this, as you know, you dream about these things. You fantasize about, being on a label and playing all these shows. So it was really weird that what I was doing was actually happening. Like,
that's cool.
It seemed like it would be hard to do, but as I started playing shows, I was like, oh, interesting. You play these shows, and then this leads to that, and it's just like, whoa, this is kind of happening exactly how I was dreaming about doing. How I thought it would happen, and so it's interesting. I'm like, oh wow, I'm already getting signed to a label. That's crazy. And then the awesome thing that I'll never forget is because Tooth and Nail had a really decent distribution, as the years went on. I mean, it ended up in big record stores, like, I don't know how worldwide Tower Records was, but I know over here Tower Records is a big thing.
Yeah.
So to see that in the record stores, that was
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. To have that experience, I'm like, I'm in the store now with the other bands that I love to listen to, buying records from here. But the most important thing I remember is just that my dad, I guess he wanted to buy the CD too, just for support, whatever, and him bragging to the person at the register, like, hey, this is my son's band. And the guy's like, cool. Yeah, I mean, cool, whatever. And so that I remember that's a big important memory to me. Just knowing my dad was in full support and appreciate what I was doing.
That's amazing. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So that's definitely one thing. I have to be really thankful to be because especially now it means more now because my dad passed away last year.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it. So I have to say, a lot of people are a little bitter because when they signed to them, they expected a lot, especially financially,
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm like, thank you for giving us experience, for me,
exposure.
Experience where exposure. Yeah, I mean, for me, that's enough. Like, and so being on Tooth and Nail, just for that alone, I think it was just a great, awesome experience. And so,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the self-titled EP. Was it Tooth and Nail's idea for you guys to just put an EP out at first, or was that your idea? Why wasn't it a full length?
It was Tooth and Nail's first, I guess maybe just as a trial thing, or something like that. It was just I think it also we just took what was presented to us.
Sure.
So I was like, oh, you want to do EP? Okay, cool. We never really thought. And also, I think what it was too is that we didn't want to rush things, and like especially John Cottrell is really particular, like his philosophy, quality versus quantity.
Sure.
So I think as a collaborator, like, hey, let's really concentrate on 5 songs. I think that's really where it went, where we're just like, let's get 5 good quality songs out instead of just actually really end up as 4 because there's one.
That's what I said. I thought it had, yeah.
Yeah, so but we just wanted to work on these, little songs and make it the best quality we can instead of doing that. So I think that's what more mainly led to. But at the same time, we were just taking it as whatever you want to give us. We won't, question it. We'll just great. You can sign is cool. So we just pursuing God.
That's cool.
That's what ultimately led to for EP.
Do you remember recording it? Was it fun? Did you have a blast? Were you like, did you have a holy shit moment?
Yeah, for sure. Going to this huge studio that a lot of 80s bands, I don't know the names, but it's called Dino Studio or something like that, and really legit studio. And I just, that was a big surreal moment, recording that EP. And, I forgot. So prior to that, our first recording experience was the Helpless Amongst Friends comp.
Oh, yeah.
So I forgot about that one. So, that was my first experience actually going in a real studio because I wanted to mention that one because it's really significant because it's in Green Room.
Oh, yeah. Gene.
And then, Gene, exactly. And so for me, first time experience that going to an actual recording studio, that was an amazing experience. And also to know that Starflyer recorded their record there.
Yeah.
That was such a big fan of that Silver record. So that was an awesome experience. But going to an actual studio for me, it was huge moment for sure.
That's cool. What were your thoughts at the end when everything was done and you heard it for the first time? You pop it in your CD player or whatever, or listen to it on the mains. Like, what were your thoughts?
Just really blown away, like with how full it sounded and just the quality, versus our demo that we did on a Tascam 8-track, whatever.
Yeah.
So that at that time it was a big jump, and the first EP, I just remember just listening to it and go, wow, the way it was recorded, like it definitely took me like on this journey for sure, like like going through the story, especially Justice putting his lyrics in, and influenced by some bits of it, not all of it, or of him going through school and reading about the Holocaust.
Wow.
And stuff like that. Yeah. So it really painted this cinematic picture in my head listening to the record for the first time.
That's cool.
For sure.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
How did Tooth and Nail feel about it? Do you remember? I know you can't speak for them, but did they seem pretty stoked on it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I never really got like a direct. I never really heard Brandon say anything directly, but I just remember as a whole just getting pretty good feedback about it. Cool. Yeah.
So you hit the road pretty quickly, I assume. Is that the case after that? Who are you touring with at the time, and maybe some thoughts from that time?
Yeah. So after, and I think after we recorded the EP, there was already talks about going on the road, and I think when we went out, our album was barely about to be released. I mean, the EP was released, but. That was quite interesting because I was about to graduate or leave junior high at the time. So that summer,
that's nuts.
I wasn't able to walk because I was missing some credits or something. I forgot.
Oh wow!
And I was like, "F you guys, I'm going on tour." So later.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, so that's when when I was finishing junior high, I was like, okay, I'm going on the road, and that was really weird to say, but that was interesting because I remember just being out there in the middle of nowhere, and just having a realization like, in reality, these guys are kind of strangers. I'm with all these older men by myself. Yeah, I'm like, I'm far away. I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. And,
that's hysterical.
Yeah, I couldn't believe, couldn't think about it. It's like, wow, my family took a big risk, letting me go out.
Absolutely. That's hysterical.
But hey, it's awesome. It shows how supportive they were. And,
sure, absolutely.
Yeah. And so that tour was very fun. Obviously I'll never forget that.
Who was on it with you guys?
So it was just as a team. It was starting off was us and Focused for a long time, and then we ended up hooking up with MXPX.
Okay.
Yeah, MXPX and Bloodshed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they returned at the same time. Because that had to have been the show I saw you guys at, because they were all there too. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, we played basketball. And I played against the guys from Don't Know. Don't Know, too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was like, me being misjudging them because I was a heavy basketball player.
Yeah.
I was like, we're gonna smoke these guys. My team's smoking. But no, those guys smoked us. Basketball. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah, that show, I'll never forget because I can rightfully say, right, that I played with Sixpence, right? Cause we were
yes, you did. Yeah, I was going to say, because it's called Alterna Fest, and it's the Prayer Chain, Sixpence, you guys, 6 Feet Deep, old Zayo, like old Zayo. It's Focused. I get Starflyer. I can't even remember. There was probably 50 bands. I don't know, 40, 50 bands, and it was awesome. My buddies and I drove 9 hours for it. And I was underage too, and my parents had to send a chaperone with me, and I bought his ticket. And he was like, he didn't hate the music, he was into it, but he did like Sixpence, so he enjoyed them. But yeah, it was funny because it was awesome. I think Jesse from Zayo wound up sleeping in our tent. We had met him in the past. It was just cool. It was my first festival, and yeah, it was cool. And just seeing you guys, it was cool. I think there's footage of it actually on YouTube.
Yeah. I recently saw it, so yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome.
It's like a what do you call it? A parking lot, basically. And, little pseudo stage, and I don't know. It was cool. Mind blowing for me, for sure.
I remember, I remember seeing the first Light Up Zayo, and I remember the singer. I remember seeing his head ball up with, it just turned so red from screaming. Yep. And I was amazed by that. That for some reason. Yeah.
That's
But yeah, they were good. They had a good intensity.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course they wound up, getting Sean after that, which is even better. And then they're off to the races at that point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The whole story with them. Yeah, for sure.
Sick, dude. So touring goes well. How long after touring do you start to work on the new EP, The Soft Spoken Words of Fallbrook? And again, why was it an EP? Why wasn't it a full length?
Yeah, this is where the tragedy comes in. So, on tour, a lot of bands, John mentions, he's like, I'm going to leave. He's like, yeah, I'm going to quit. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Kind of like that thing you do kind of situation. Mm-hmm. He just lost interest in it. And as John is, he's such a genius, and he's always just thinking way ahead, and he just he wasn't into the music anymore and just lost interest, so he's like, I'm out. Mm-hmm. And so, all right. So once we got back, knowing that, someone had to pick up the ball with that, and ultimately it led to me doing it because I believe the 5th song or something like that on the EP and the subtitle Bloodshed, I did write that one. It's a bass-led, mellow song. So I wrote that, and I guess because of that, I was like, okay, well, you're in charge now of writing music.
Wow.
And and we were also going more on the, the screaming and singing thing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't playing edgy stuff, so so that led me to writing right away once we got back from the tour, and to get going with that EP. And so, and then kind of the same deal. This time around, I think it had to do with John leaving. They only offered us the EP.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and so we just made the best of it, and just with the timing and that we had, I guess the time that they wanted to release it, we only had, unfortunately, three songs ready.
I gotcha.
And that's what ended up with that. Yeah.
I gotcha. Was that a cool experience for you to obviously be the primary songwriter in the studio at that point? Was it different? How did you feel overwhelmed, or did you feel like you were up for the task?
Yeah, I felt it was like up to the task because I already started writing a lot already. I already had a lot of material for myself, and to really hear the band taking my lead on it, and then hearing it finally for the first time in the yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty drastic change, and it's still the same, but you can tell there's a difference in the songwriting, and obviously that kind of spurned on later on in your career musically, like you can kind of see the direction that you guys are going, in your later music as well. So yeah, was that gratifying to hear that? Obviously, it sounds like it was for you to hear that record when it was done, like you said.
Yeah, sure. And I'm also kind of taking the charge of like, hey, this is how we're going to sound like, Yeah, and it was crazy that they asked me to lead that, and that's really fun. The third song, I wish we developed more. It seemed kind of short because it gets, it's really upbeat, and I wish it continue on for at least I wish it was just upbeat and moving.
Sure.
For at least 3 minutes, and then go on to our long rant or tangent that we do at the end of that song on the third EP. That's the only kind of thing I wish I changed or did, when recording that. And obviously, I wish I recorded more, but
sure.
We took where we got. We never said, can we full length? I think that's another thing too. So yeah, it would be nice to do one for sure. But at the same time, not too long after that was released, we all kind of I ended up joining Rainy Days. We all kind of lost interest and then broke up.
Okay, yeah, I was going to mention that. The breakup, obviously. You put the EP out. Is it not much longer after that you guys decided to go separate ways? Obviously, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry about that. What were you going to say? Go.
I was going to say, after the EP comes out, you kind of mentioned that you guys you decided to play in Rainy Days and you lost interest. The band is just kind of dissolved at that point. Was it a good dissolve or was it bad, or how was that?
It was good and bad. Yeah, a few people were bitter, and this just lost the heart of it. Sure. To do it.
Sure.
And, but we did prolong. So we were still, since John left and decided to kind of move on. We decided, okay, let's just go change the name, because we thought the name Bloodshed honestly was kind of cheesy because it's too aggressive. Mm-hmm. We wanted to be more emo sounding or whatever, so we chose Slingshot David, which is a good name actually.
Yeah, I like it. It's great.
Yeah, so we ended up doing an EP as a continuation, but not, but kind of leaving the Bloodshed behind a little bit,
Yeah.
And in the end, around that time, we, after that, obviously, I joined up Rainy Days, and I just continued on with that.
Yeah, yeah. And so you said you had an EP with Slingshot David. Was that ever released at all? I know you mentioned there was a label involved.
Yeah, unfortunately, no.
Well,
yeah.
Can it ever be?
Some of the Slingshot David songs will continue on with Binder of Light.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. Good to know. That's cool. Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah, and some of it we didn't because some of the other members had their hand in writing it, so we respected them.
Sure, absolutely. No, that makes total sense.
Because Steve Dale was in it at the moment and recorded with that EP. and he's from
Sure.
Project Ace and
he's in Starflyer.
Yeah. Intermediate. Oh yeah, Starflyer down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those guys. So that's why I was like respect to all of them. Like,
Sure.
These are the ones that like I particularly wrote because Slingshot Day ended up kind of being more collaborative.
Cool.
Which was all about that. So
yeah. Did you guys play many shows as Slingshot David, or was it just kind of a flash in the pan?
Yeah, definitely. It was. We played a bunch of shows under that name.
That's cool. And how come at that point? I mean, it didn't seem like it was a long, life of the band. But was there any labels that were interested at that time, or was Tooth and Nail and wanting to kind of? I know because you guys had only put the 2 EPs out. Was that an option?
No, the other guys except me, were just kind of bitter towards, some of the stuff that happened, like the album cover for the first EP wasn't supposed to be that. We didn't want, but that was kind of pushed by someone else, and then in the end they were, just kind of upset with kind of things how it happened and how they dealt with us, I guess. And it was like, okay, well, and that's how they felt. And I felt nothing,
No, I get it. I only ask because it's like, I mean, you guys all have your own reasons and stuff. I just, it seems like you guys are all still friends, which is great, and I love that. And it sucks that, it hurt some and didn't hurt the others, but at the same time, it's kind of, people take things differently, So I get it.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
So you mentioned joining Rainy Days. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Obviously they had signed to Alarma at that point, and you just came in as a member. And how long were you in that, and how did that go for you?
I was in there for about 3 years or so.
Okay.
I think more mainly 3 years. It was fun. It was a different dynamic. It's all happy, just super animated. And definitely the crowd was different, being it was like either ska show or punk show.
Sure.
And I liked it. It was a change. It was definitely a change.
Who were you guys playing with at the time?
Some of the bands. Let's see here. There's a band here locally that I remember playing a lot with. They were called Officer Negative.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you know them. So that's one of the band, and then. Who else is there? I think there's... Oh, man, I'm blanking out right now.
I'm sure there's a million. I get it.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
No worries. So Rainy Days, you're playing in Rainy Days. What do you decide to leave, or do you guys just break up? How does that happen?
Yeah, and I left... I left because for me, I always just... When I lost interest in something, I kind of just move on.
Sure. No, I get it.
Yeah, I left because I ended up doing something where I wanted to write. The main thing is I wanted to start writing my music and started playing, and so I think that was the main thing, and so that's where the Mood Swingers came in.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and and I was at the time I was really into secondary real estate, mineral, and all that stuff, and I wanted to do that kind of music, and it was more melodic, more rocking, and so. So I left that just to do my own thing. Because I never got a chance to do that.
Talking about the Mood Swingers for a few, you guys put a self-released EP out, and you mentioned, influenced by Sunny Day Real Estate. Sounds incredible. Maybe talk about that band just for a few moments and who all was in it, and if we'll ever hear that at some point.
Yeah. So that started, as we wanted to, write my music and play. I had Joby Harris to join forces from Crash Rickshaw. He was supposed to take on the replacement of the singer for Slingshot David initially.
Okay.
I think even for Bloodshed too, because there's that transition from Bloodshed to Slingshot David. We were missing a singer. Okay. And so he was supposed to come down. He came from the East Coast, so he was supposed to come down and fill that spot, but he ended up joining the band Slingshot David. Mood Swingers. So we played a few shows. We put out an EP and sold that online. And, you know, we played a few shows. One most notably, we played at Bowling Alley. And we played with the very beginnings of At the Drive-In.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, that was crazy. And
that's nuts.
Just seeing their beginnings and that show, this Bowling Alley, I mean, there was tons of people for them already. And and they just really started. And so they're, you know, as you know, they're hype, you know, they blew up, you know, and then maybe further beyond with the other, you know, with Mars, right? So that was really interesting to see, and that's like some of the shows that I remember with the Blitzkriegers that we were able to play with, and that's long. That's when I ended up joining the band Bell Contract after that, and then kind of left.
Let's talk about Bell Contract here, and you put an EP out with them as well, and you said it's kind of more like 10,000 Maniacs esque, if you will. Let's talk about that and how that kind of happened.
Yeah, my cousin and a bunch of friends from they went to Bible College in Marietta, and so they needed another guitar player, so just started jamming with them, and that kind of the same thing where I just kind of took on the lead writing music because the other songwriter left for other personal reasons. And we started playing shows locally. We played what do you call it? There's a venue here in Anaheim near me in Anaheim called Chain Reaction, and we ended up almost being a resident there. The manager liked our band, that he kind of wanted us to be his project band because he really believed in what we were doing. He liked the music, but that like as many projects that that eventually fizzled out because then my attention. That's when Stairwell started knocking on my door.
I got you.
Hey, like we need a singer.
Cool.
And,
go ahead. Let's talk into how Stairwell, how you got into Stairwell. You said they needed a singer, obviously, and maybe talk about the beginnings of that band and how Take Hole Records came into the picture. So with my Sean Stopnick in Stairwell at the time, and then you had the singer was Neil Samoy from Steve Zig. Yeah. So when that Stairwell, when I wasn't in it yet, they were playing shows. Neil was offered, to play with Steve Zaker, and but Neil wanted to do both. But the Stairwell, the other members just wanted to continue on with someone that would be more available. Yeah,
exactly, and then prioritize that as the main project. So Neil was willing to go along with it, but they said, okay, we're just gonna find another singer. So, as you know, Neil went on to be successful with Steve Zaker and moved on with that. And Sean, he remembered me from doing Mood Swingers and how he loved that music that I did. That he suggested I be a singer for Stairwell, and so I took over from there. And that was in 2000. Yeah, 2000.
Wow.
Yeah, and so immediately once that decision was going, that we just went to work right away with Sean and his very strong, good work ethic and business sense. It's just like we just went to work. We right away, focused on getting a sit down to play. So got that sit down quick within a few months, and then started playing shows immediately.
Who were you playing with? Was it you getting the hookups from former friends and former bands and stuff?
I remember when we started. Yeah, it was just a bunch of unknown bands. I know one, but in the beginning, I know particularly we played a few bands. We played at this cool little tattoo shop, who was known by a lot of people, Sid. Sid's Tattoos. We remember, I think MX Kitster worked on a lot of people from the scene got our tattoo. In Santa Ana. So I remember some of our few first shows were shows like that. And everything was quick. Just sat down, all of a sudden, not too much after a few shows, we were already talking to Take Hole Records about making a record. And then from there, we already started going in the studio already.
Wow.
And then started recording the green room, Stairwell happened quick. Like the moment I jumped in, and within a year already you got a record label and already started recording a record.
When you joined, sorry to cut you off, but when you joined, did the sound of the band change at all? I mean, obviously you're the new singer.
Yeah.
Was it drastic or was it pretty seamless or how was it?
Yeah, as like a lot of us in our local scene, we were heavily influenced by Sunny Day Mineral. I ran around that time. I ran into listening to the bands like Promise Ring and Ghetto Kids, stuff like that. And so when I joined, it definitely went more poppy and happy for sure.
That's cool.
Especially because I was such a big fan of the Promise Ring, and so that had a big influence on
I can see that. Totally see it. 100% see that. That's cool.
Yeah. So when I joined, it was. I guess that also made a lot more. It was more accessible to a lot more people because it was poppy.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. So you mentioned Take Hold, and I think earlier you were telling me that Chad. He was like, I love Bloodshed. I want to sign Stairwell, and so that's how that kind of happened. And you said it went pretty quick.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Pacific Standard record. How was that recording process, and how was that situation where you guys? Was it quick? Did you enjoy it? How was that for you?
Yeah, great experience because it's the first full length I've ever done in my whole life.
Wow.
And then also more so because I had a big hand in writing the music. And so hearing on the big speakers and the music again, it was an awesome experience. We worked with Luis from Plank Eye.
Okay.
Really good engineer. It was fun to work with him, and I've always been a big fan of Luis and the band, obviously Plank Eye, and him, his bass playing. I just loved his bass playing. I was so influenced. I learned a lot of the first two records. I practiced his bass lines a lot, so it was awesome to work with him. It was cool. That was like time we worked on 2-inch reel. Like the last time I worked on, that'll be the last time I'll ever work with 2-inch reel. Yeah. So that was a good experience in itself too. It came out, had a cool, unique sound to it. I was pretty happy with it. Being the first full length, and it was just interesting that not too long after that we just went on the road right away.
Yeah, I was gonna say Was everything written before you guys recorded, or were you writing in the studio?
Because what I would do is give everyone a member of a disc of all the songs I wrote that I proposed that I wanted to write for the band, that I wanted to put in the band. And they came in pretty complete, had drums, everything, pretty full. It was pretty much like a pre-album demo, pretty much. And then from there, they would just change it up, maybe change the structure a little bit or pieces here and there, so they would have their hand into it. And that was kind of the process. It was I think that what made things faster, because a lot of bands in this kind of thing that you'll hear later what I'm dealing with. So I think that's what made everything move fast, because I had something with already somewhat of a finished project already, and so with that they went with it, and then with that, because everyone agreed on that, we were able to move forward right away.
Okay.
So I know a lot of bands, they bring a song and it just takes a while. Like they go, okay, let's see how this goes. Let's go see.
Yeah.
They try all these
overthink it, put too much on it. Yeah.
Exactly. Or maybe overthink too. Yeah, like that. And so this process, we managed to avoid that. And it's great for a lot of bands, but I guess all of us were just determined to get going. Let's go. And so that's the result of Pacific Standard Time, where it's just like, here you go. Here's kind of a finished product. Let's go. You guys go polish it up. That's cool.
Were you stoked on how it turned out?
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely happy with it for sure. I like the tone. It has this cool, warm tone to it, and a unique tone. It didn't turn out how I thought it would be in my head, but it still turned out good, and it had this unique tone to it that I really like. So it gives it personality. Yeah, so with that, how we did it, I thought that's one of the ways to get things going, for sure.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of like just hang out and see what happens kind of thing.
No, I wouldn't be able to live that way personally, but I'm a preparer. I gotta, I would be, ready to go in, do my thing, and, let it rip. So.
Yeah, sure. It's cool.
You mentioned going on the road. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. I cut you off.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you mentioned going on the road after the record came out. Let's talk about that briefly, kind of how that went for you, and were shows big, or who you were touring with, all that.
Yeah, the bands I remember hitting up with, what do you call it? One of the bands for sure I enjoyed touring with was 238. That was awesome, man.
I just had Chris on recently. And Jake.
Oh, you did?
Obviously. Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I gotta listen.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's funny. He's so cool.
And who else is there? Gosh, I'm blanking out so many bands. I should have wrote some of this down before.
No, dude. Was that the Militia Group tour was that after that? Because I know I saw you guys on that. It was like Juliana Theory. It was supposed to be Further. I think Further had broken up after Cornerstone. I swear you guys were on it, and I think Acceptance was on it. Something like that.
I remember playing with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys are great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Play with. Jeez, there's so many bands.
I'm sure it was just a blur. I mean, you probably were touring nonstop. Yeah, absolutely. So you go out on the road, the record's coming out, you're feeling good about it. When do you start kind of working on Sounds of Change record, and kind of maybe talk about how Hopeless Records came into the picture after that?
Yeah, okay. So, touring on the Pacific Standard Time record, and getting traction with that, with us, I guess, we caught the attention of Hopeless Records. And during that time already, we wanted to start working our, the sophomore release. And so we were on tour, and we decided to there was a budget that we had, and there was a engineer / producer that they recommended us to work with. So we decided to go on tour at the same time record. And this was out in Florida.
Where at?
And this is where we hooked up with James Wisner.
Oh, Wisner. Okay.
I forgot the city.
Oh, yeah. Probably down by Miami, I would assume, or Orlando.
That sounds like it. Yeah. And so that was an awesome experience in itself, because he recorded in his apartment.
That's cool.
And I just thought, So it made sense. Like, we recorded the drums in a different studio, and that only took a day. But then we moved, the rest to his apartment. And I thought that was interesting. I thought that's like, how are we going to get away with like recording the guitars live?
Wow.
That's pretty loud. Apartment.
In an apartment,
so
yeah.
He had some isolation. He had a really good isolation booth. At the same time, I think maybe he had some kind of agreement with his neighbors. I definitely did it during the day or early evening, before anything. So it was a good experience. Recording with him. Very good producer. Had tons of great ideas.
Yeah. He worked on some great records. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. After that, with 238, he did work with them, and then
Further.
Dashboards.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and the way he produced it, I was blown away by the sound when it was finished. Because I was into really polished albums, at the time.
Yeah.
I kind of retracted from that, but when at the time though, I was really into really produced albums. So when he did ours, I was just like, I was really, really helpful. I'm grateful.
Cool.
Yeah.
Was Hopeless stoked on it?
Yeah. So from there, after playing a while, and then on that record, on the Sounds of Change, we caught the attention of Hopeless, and then so they picked it up along with the other album, Pacific Standard Time. And Hopeless, they did a great campaign pushing us out there. I was hearing that we were out in people seeing our record in like Target and seeing promos like that. And I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. That was an awesome label. They had a really great support. I didn't realize how for an independent label how far of a reach Hopeless Records has. They had amazing distribution and the way they market is really brilliant. And they're able to reach all corners of the country and worldwide too. And it was a really good moment. I mean, we were supposed to sign on to Tooth and Nail because at the time, Tooth and Nail, I guess, bought out to Takeover, right? So we were supposed to naturally sign on to them, but we had our manager, say, we're just gonna this was go this Hopeless route, which I'm happy with.
Sure.
Just trying something different because there's a way on Tooth and Nail, and I think that's for me. I think I just wanted to go on a different label just because it's different. Really, I wouldn't be against Tooth and Nail. Being on Tooth and Nail, I think would have been great too. I think I would have done that, and just because as you know that with them, it's just the exposure alone on Tooth and Nail is, I think, pretty good. So,
Sure.
I would have been a bad choice.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, you can't go. I mean, Hopeless is fantastic as well. Yeah, I mean, you don't know the trajectory of the band on Tooth and Nail, what it would have been, but it probably would have been, if not the same or not, or kind of around the same. But you never know. It's cool that you went with Hopeless, something different, something that you maybe weren't used to, but you were surprised in a good way with. So that's cool. I mean, it's awesome that you got to be on two fantastic labels over the years. That's great.
Yeah, and another scary thing is that Hopeless was completely secular.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus the Christian scene. So that's a scary, because you had this blanket in the being in the Christian circuit.
Yeah.
For shows, you're kind of safe.
Yeah.
Within the shows that you do within the Christian circuit. But, when you're out there in the secular world, is this, they'll eat you alive.
I bet. I bet.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So that's interesting, knowing that that's going to be a reality of, hey, you are going to be really on your own this time.
Yeah.
And so, and that really drove it in when we were offered to tag along, I would say, with the band's Warped Tour. And
I thought you guys were on that. Yeah. How was that for you?
Awesome. It's just really interesting to be hanging out with the guys from Rancid and Bad Religion and all that. Just they're right there, and I belong there too because I'm the artist too.
That's so cool.
It's pretty surreal for me just being amongst all these big name artists, and I'm allowed there to hang out in that area. So
I'm allowed there.
Yeah, I'm allowed to hang out here.
Turd.
Yeah. So, and it's fun. We were the little band. We're in our little band with tagging along with the big giant buses heading to stuff like Red Rock. I think that's what's called, right?
Yeah, Red Rock's in Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool. I was to play some venues, some even though we played the side stage, so we played the Ernie Ball stage, which a lot of beginning or starting band end up playing anyway, which is still great. You still get a good crowd.
Totally.
So it's interesting going to all these big venues like that, like Red Rock. That was awesome. And we were way up all the way up to Canada. That was a quite interesting.
Nice.
So that's cool playing, in the band and going to a different country, Yeah, kind of a good team, a good time. It's a good poutine
cool.
or whatever. What do you call it? Poutine or whatever.
Yeah, it was poutine. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so some of the notable highlights there, and under Hopeless, and then eventually we all disbanded. Unfortunately, not too long after.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think knowing what I know now, like about myself, I don't know. It's just something. There's a pattern there in me back then that didn't know how to handle issues, where I would just leave and not deal with and kind of fight it with the members. Kind of like being in a relationship, I guess. I did have a pattern in myself that I realized after all those years of being in the bands where if there's a problem, I would just like take off. And I was very passive about stuff. And so I really had to learn that about myself. And that's where I'm trying to change. Well, I have changed for a long time now about how I deal with bands now, and not just either leave, be passive about things.
Sure.
Really talk it out, the issues. And so that's why it's kind of embarrassing kind of explain all the bands I've been through just from jumping from one band to another. It's kind of reveal about how I was back then.
Sure.
And so this pattern led to the Stairwell, and unfortunately, it's like I kind of was one of the main people to kind of have it suspended, which I admit,
Yeah.
And it was a start of a mistake of hurting my friend Zach Schultz in the process. So that was a big mistake, and it's stuff that I was dealing with that I just didn't understand or knew how to handle.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, that's how it ended. It's just I felt very different, and so that's Stairwell had a big potential to do something. And then the label Hopeless said they put so much money into us and believed in us, and then unfortunately we let them down. But so that's how Stairwell ended. But it was definitely a fun ride, and it happened quick. At the same time, it's also a testament like this. You put a lot of work into something. Just a big result comes from it. Like something you just gotta put all your you stay dedicated to a path, and that's the main story I would like to share, is that you stay dedicated to a path. There's going to be so much hard times and struggle into something that you don't know what the end of the road is yet, and you just got to keep on pushing. If you're around to do something still about it, then do it.
Yeah.
Even though you feel like it's been forever and nothing's happening, because you'd be surprised how things end up. And that's because like in between Stairwell, it's just like, man, I even question, it's like, man, we were on the road for a long time. Like, we were playing, a show in the middle of nowhere and no one's there. So you kind of question, like, where did this all go? What's kind of the point? And, but as we kept on playing shows, that caught the eye of Hopeless, so a pretty decent label, and then because of that, it could have been an amazing journey,
Sure.
Because we were offered tours to play with like bands like Yellow Card and stuff. And
wow.
Imagine what that would have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool that you can acknowledge that about yourself, though. I mean, we all kind of make decisions and do things, we probably shouldn't do at when we're younger in age or in a different place in life. And, the older you get, you kind of look back and, hindsight's 20/20. And, it's cool that you got to experience that stuff. And, as long as you still have a friendship with Zach, like you mentioned. I was going to talk about the Furnace Fest reunion. So it's like, at least you guys have that friendship still intact, which is like everything. It's even more important, than the music.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
Let's talk about the Furnace Fest reunion. It was so cool to see you guys play again, and how did that kind of come up? I assume Chad hit you guys up, and what were you guys feeling about it?
Yeah, so I was given the idea through a few mutual people I know that kind of entertained the idea. Why don't you just bring back Stairwell? I said, I don't know, man. Like, my best buddy, or, Zach had, I don't know how he'd feel about it, above all, like, way before this whole idea of Stairwell get back together, I wanted to make sure I wasn't mad with Zach, so me and him talked and talked about stuff, and we became friends again, which is important to me, because
Absolutely.
that was one of the people in my life that I felt I wronged big time, like, and so I was like, dude, this is a guy that's never done anything bad to me at all, and it's something, and then I let him down, he had this dream of doing music, and we had this awesome opportunity, and then I kind of let him down,
Yeah.
I'll never forget, like, his parents. One of his parents asked me before I left, we were hanging out in Oregon, he said, hey, make sure you take care of my kid. And he was talking about Zach. And so I was like, that bothered me for a long time. And so it's awesome that we're friends again. So through a few people that entertained the idea for Stairwell to get back together, I said, okay, maybe I'll talk to Zach and see how he feels about it, and then on Zach's side, people, when Furnace Fest came about, I guess he was hearing from other people, they entertained the idea to him too. So it kind of sparked interest in him. So that's what led to him and me talking about it. It's like, hey, what do you think about this Furnace Fest? He's like, yeah, people have been talking to me about it too, about playing. And it's like, let's still try to make this happen. So
That's cool.
Unfortunately, so it was a lot of waiting around. We kind of wanted the goal was to do that we kind of had to wait around, like, because Zach was dealing with some kind of, with some with issues with his back, so we had to kind of hope and wait for him to kind of heal up and kind of see when he can get ready to go with it. And so,
Sure.
So the idea was around for a little bit, and we finally got word that Zach's able to move about. We started getting busy, started practicing, and get a set down, and then build up to the to the announcement of us playing Furnace Fest. And so in the meantime, it was great just seeing him together and us jamming together first time in a long time.
That's cool.
It was awesome. It was really awesome. I really miss playing that music too.
Yeah.
And for me, going through a major transition, I think for a lot of us the past few years, it was an awesome kind of like comforting thing to, like, okay, I'm in this new transition in my life. It's awesome to have Stairwell back in my life to play something I felt like it was like unfinished business.
Yeah.
So and so it's awesome that right when I decided I would like to continue on Stairwell, that Furnace Fest opportunity came up. And so me and Zach back and forth would just kind of check up with Chad, say, hey, can we jump on? Can we jump on? He was trying to get us on the first one, but because the people and decided what's the best lineup, we just didn't make it that time. So he said, hey, let's work for next year, and we got he finally got the awesome word that we were able to play next year. I mean, was that the last year?
Yeah.
Not the year before. So it was a great build up to it, and it was awesome that when we finally announced that we're back.
Yeah.
It was great, and it was awesome to hear the response and feedback of that happening.
Yeah.
And the play Furnace Fest, as we played them before, it was we knew how it's going to be like. It was every time was just a great experience.
Sure.
And even more so for this time around, for sure.
Yeah, I bet there was some. Like you just talked about how you kind of had some hurt in the past with it. I'm sure it was a euphoric moment for you, an opportunity for you guys to mend the fences in a way on stage, in a cool way. You get to be back together. How was the feeling of that? How was the reception of that?
Oh yeah, it's just the people that who are supportive of us were just really happy to see us in doing the thing that we've always enjoyed. And I'm glad to hear that, like Zach told me, he had a blast. Like, for him being out there, it meant the world to him. so to know that, it's just like, it's a great feeling, you know?
Yeah.
And so, it's just, you know, coming out of this pandemic and to continue something that we always had a passion with, it's a big deal. And it's definitely, you know, for all our experiences, it definitely makes, you know, life a little bit lighter than usual.
Absolutely.
So actually playing and being there in Furnace Fest, the vibe, the energy of all the people there was great. Just being there alone already and be able to play a show like that, of that size, was just, we were already thankful as it is, but I just never, I was never expecting the feedback from the people that I would run to about either Bloodshed or Stairwell. And that was really emotional. I mean,
that was.
A few people crying about how, you know, that it helped them get through their life, you know, their music. They really, it's just like, oh man, like it really just validated, like, just to continue with our art, no matter what, no matter the circumstances or whatever, how you feel. It taught me just, all of us artists, even with talent, like I think it's our responsibility to get it out there as best we can. I mean, art's also a great therapeutic thing too, but I think there is a little bit of responsibility for us artists for what we have is to share it the best we can.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's in a small coffee shop gallery, if you're an artist there, that can help someone having their coffee and looking at art and inspires them for something. And so that's why I learned when I was there. I was like, dude, like, don't hold anything of this back and get whatever you have and get it out there.
That's cool.
The best way you can. And so just hearing these people, it's just like, okay, you know, so I gotta just do this stuff for them, for who's willing to listen. Sure. So it's been awesome to hear that. And it's just, and also this community, when we all went there, it's like, man, it's like, this is where we belong.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, man, I don't want to leave this.
Yeah, I know. It's like across summer camp, and it's like, I know, it's like, you know, it's, like I said, it's euphoric. It's, you know, it you know, gives me chills just thinking about it. It's such a bro down time. It's such a hang time, and everyone's having fun, and it's like, it's got to feel incredible.
There is listening to mostly everything that you listen to too.
Yep.
And everyone is just there for the same reason, to enjoy this community. It's just such an awesome thing, man. So to know
cool.
that it just makes things much
That's amazing. I love that. I love hearing that, dude. That's incredible. Any future shows? I know you said you know, is there any potential shows or any potential recordings, anything like that?
So for both bands, so Stairwell's still in it. Is just as you know, like the other two members, like Andy and Zach, they have family. I do as well, but they do have a bigger one to where more kids involved than I do. I have one kid. So they're at the young age where they as these kids at their age need a lot of attention. So they've been with family life, they've been busy with that. But Stairwell's plan was just right now is a songwriting mode. And, but honestly, it's been hard to get to that right now because of life. But that's our goal, is that we're trying to come up with an EP because that's the most realistic thing we can do. Realistic thing. So that's what's going on. So we're not in hiatus, but it's just so hard to pull everyone together right now.
Totally. I mean,
we want to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to do this, and Zach's been sending out songs. We've all been sending songs back and forth to work on. So that's what's going on with Stereo. So we want to do things, but it's just life's been getting in the way. And then Biter Light, it's been having a little more traction just because, like, for me and the other guys, they have kids as well, but they're all going to college and
so they're a little bit older.
Late teens.
Yeah.
So they're on their own. So it's opening up time for us to do stuff. So Biter Light's a little more active now just because of that factor. Is that that they have this more time that they can focus on what they want to do music wise. So we right now for Binder Light is that we've been getting together, practicing, and to build a set. So once we get that going, we're going to immediately start playing shows.
That's cool.
So no shows set, but in conjunction with that, so we are working on an EP too. So we're working as we're building a set. We're working on an EP, songs to put out an EP.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah, and then we have one single out on the Jerin Collective label.
Oh yeah. I was talking to Brian Gray about that the other day. He's telling me it's awesome.
Yeah, so Eric Shuri, like I like what he's doing. It's awesome. All these bigger bands, like he's taking a lot of their side projects or stuff, or absorbing maybe some of the big bands. I haven't looked at the whole catalog, but he's doing a great job, and he's been helping us. He's been helping us distribute the single that we have, and being doing such a great thing.
That's so
cool. We
cool.
got a lot of great exposure. Yeah, so we have a single out right now called Queen Fortress.
Oh yeah, I listened to it. It's great. Love it.
Yeah, so it's definitely a band that doesn't have the tones of Bloodshed, but then yet new stuff.
Yeah.
So we also determined to play a bunch of shows. But nothing set in stone.
That's cool. I'm sure something will come. I know. I know Tim from Focus is trying to put a show together. You should definitely do that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I'm sorry. We missed the boat. I already talked to
That's sweet. Yeah, I was texting him the other day, and he's like, I'm trying to put a show together. I don't know who to play. And that just popped in my mind. I was like, oh.
Yeah, Tim approached me about being on his reunion show, but the one special one coming up, and I said, we're not ready. And he's like, all right, well, and then he moved on. And so now that I got Binder Light kind of moving, I said, hey, we kind of sound like Bloodshed, and we're still part of the scene. I mean, can we play? He's like, too late, buddy. You
shall.
I'm like, come on, Tim, this guy. So it's cool. I'm glad he's moving forward with his.
Yeah, I'm excited for him.
And that he's trying to get focused to get going with. I believe I think they might be releasing an EP. I think I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of caught wind of something. He said they were working on some stuff. So.
Yeah. So.
Well, maybe in the future you guys can play together, and it'll be a family reunion.
For sure. Yeah.
That's sick, John. Dude, I am so excited about this conversation. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast. It's been such an awesome opportunity to listen to you tell these stories, and I just think it's cool that you were super authentic about who you are now and who you were, and just really appreciate your time, and I'm really grateful that you came on my podcast, man. Yeah,
thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. It's nice talking to you, hopefully you can hang out soon.
Yeah, I would love that.
Are you going to Frizzes Fest or?
Yeah, I'll be there. Will you there? Will you be there?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to try.
Okay. Well, let's definitely hang out and bro down. That'll be sick.
Yeah. Yeah,
bro.
Last thing.
You rule. Thank you so much, man.
You rule, too.
Oh, hush. All right, bro. Well, hopefully we'll see you soon. That'll be dope.
Yeah, nice talking to you.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for tuning in, listener, to this latest episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Really appreciate the support. Add me on Instagram and Facebook if you like, at the Rivers of Truth Cast. Like and subscribe if you like. You know the drill. Thank you to Jonathan Caro for an awesome conversation. Really cool talking about all the bands he's done in his past. I really appreciate his time. So got some amazing artists on the horizon. And so, man, nostalgia, guys, it's still a heck of a drug.